Welcome, John. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Frank. Always good to be with you. We are launching the D. James Kennedy Center for Christian Leadership. Tell us a little bit about what that is and why we're doing that.
20 years ago, I went to Washington, D.C. to launch the Center for Christian Statesmanship for Dr. Kennedy. And I observed firsthand what was going on with incoming freshman members of Congress and what kind of an impact they had. And when I arrived there 20 years ago, there was an incoming freshman class that was unique, perhaps in American history.
That was the Gingrich Revolution. The class of '94 was just getting into office.
That's exactly right. That was the contract for America and
Right.
all the promises that were made in association with that. And that was the year that the Republicans took back control of the House of Representatives for the first time in 56 years. It was literally a watershed moment. And in that freshman incoming class, about 70% of the members of that class were self-identified evangelical Christians. And there were such high expectations for what we thought we would see. But I've got to confess that over the next decade of watching that class, most of our expectations turned out to be not. There were a group that came in and said, we're for term limits, and 6 years later, they were gone and had no impact at all. There was another group that clearly wasn't ready to be there, and they were just willing to do whatever leadership told them to do. We're going to tell you how to vote today, and that's what they would do. So that big tidal wave of change came in and just as quickly washed back out without any noticeable difference. So I began thinking about and talking with others about a new approach to leadership, a training program that would prepare people for service in the public policy arena before they run for election, instead of waiting for them to get there and then have that deer in the headlights look and really have no impact.
So we've heard a lot about different kinds of leadership training, and even the idea of leadership training won't be a new concept to anyone.
Right.
What makes this different than other sorts of leadership training that we've heard of?
For, I would say, three reasons, three major differences. The first is that the deficit that I saw that was the biggest of those that got there and had no impact is they did not have a well-grounded biblical worldview. They didn't really know how to take their worldview and apply it to the great moral, ethical, and economic and social questions of the day. The second piece of it was they got there without the skills needed to succeed. They weren't really trained in how to speak, how to debate, how to do media relations, how to negotiate, and they weren't trained in the political philosophies of the opponents that they would face once they got there. So we're going to combine biblical worldview and constitutional training with practical leadership training in the area of speech and debate, in the area of media relations and negotiations, and in political philosophy. With those two things done, we're then going to work with the ones we train on strategizing how to prepare to get to that place and to make a difference on the issues that really matter. But in the end, John, our goal is to equip these future leaders and challenge them to have a holy ambition to go into government and rise to the highest level of influence that God will give them and to stand for Christ in that place.
This is being operated out of the D. James Kennedy Center for Christian Statesmanship right on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and there are already activities underway in the new Center for Christian Leadership, aren't there?
There are. In fact, the very things that we're going to be training future candidates, we're working with existing leaders in Washington, D.C. who want to sharpen their skills and become better at mastering the tools necessary to succeed in that place. And so through the Center for Christian Statesmanship, we have a weekly members Bible study fellowship in which they're looking at the Word of God, they're looking at the Constitution, they're trying to apply, as the founders did, their biblical worldview to an understanding of how things ought to be in our nation's government, and to regain an inspiration and understanding of how the genius of the founders was expressed in the Constitution, because so much of our constitutional freedoms have been lost in many cases through ignorance. And so we are training existing leaders, and we're going to be training 300 people a year and turning them loose to find whatever level God gives them. Maybe that's the county school board in their local community. Maybe that's in the state legislature. Maybe that's in the House and Senate or even higher.
Frank, this new initiative is very consistent with Dr. Kennedy's vision for Christian engagement in the culture, and I think many people respected Dr. Kennedy because they felt here is somebody who's out in the arena making a difference. This initiative is going to make a difference very much in keeping with what Dr. Kennedy would have wanted, isn't it?
I think so, John. That was one of the hallmarks of his early ministry, was being faithful to proclaim biblical truth and to teach and disciple and do the work of an evangelist. He did that better than most.
He did.
But he also felt the need for hands-on ministry. And so 22 years ago, I opened the Center for Christian Statesmanship, which was followed by the Center for Reclaiming America and the Center for Creation Studies. Dr. Kennedy founded Knox Seminary, Westminster Academy, institutions that were hands-on, making a difference in these areas. And the Center for Christian Leadership is very much in keeping with that tradition. We are out there engaging the culture, boots on the ground, to use the military language, in Washington, D.C., and believing that God's going to bless and honor these efforts.
Well, we're certainly going to need help in order to carry out a project of this scope, and we'll have more information later on in the program for our viewers to be able to get involved and help us with that. But it's extremely exciting what we see God already doing on Capitol Hill and what we think He's going to do through this program. I'm really looking forward to it. I know you are as well, Frank. Thank you for having me, and we'll look forward to seeing what God does with the new D. James Kennedy Center for Christian Leadership.
Thanks for being with me here today, John.
Thank you for having me.